The Chinese pyramids have been a mystery for the longest time. In 1967, the Chinese archaeologists who was investigating them went to the conference in Japan, and then he announced that 250 pyramids are in central Chinese province of Shanxi, and that he found some clay tablets with some type of hieroglyphic writings. According to his partial decipherment, the pyramids were built over 12,000 years ago. He came back to China. They put him in the mental hospital, and nobody has heard about him no more. The year is 1967, the first year of the famous Chinese Cultural Revolution. If you were thinking differently, then obviously the government would find a way to take care of you. After that, the Chinese government decided to plant the trees on the pyramids and to show them to the world as a simple natural hills. In 1970s, no activities until mid of 1980s. And then the Chinese government gave the permission to the Chinese archaeologists to start investigating smaller pyramids. Out of 250, 230 are smaller ones and 20 big ones. So what they found out in the smaller one was a lot of archaeological material that do belong to the very concrete Chinese emperors, from the Emperor Qin 2,200 years ago until 1,000 before present. However, according to the leading Chinese archaeologists from the Archaeological Institute in Xi'an, they do not have a permission to clean and investigate the biggest one, which are still covered by soil and vegetation. Why? Because it will take them 12,000 plus years before present. It does not fit the Chinese history, which is only 5,000 years old. What we know from the preliminary investigation is that the biggest one are built from the superior materials, granite and sandstone blocks, and the small one from mud bricks. The same thing in Egypt. The biggest one, Giza pyramids for example, limestone and granite. The pyramids of the 12th or 18th dynasty, mud bricks, and they're long gone. Obviously, two different civilizations, the one that they were before much more advanced than the one that follows. All the Chinese pyramids, four sides, plateau on the top, perfect orientation, east, west, north, and south. South America, Bolivia, 13,000 feet above the sea level. Next to Lake Titicaca, the pyramid complex of Acapena, the step pyramids. Today, we don't see much, covered by soil, vegetation. However, we can see a lot of granite blocks around. You can see how those two blocks perfectly fit each other. Now, in order to shape the granite, which is the hardest material in the nature, today we would use diamond tools. According to the archaeologists, until 2,000 years ago, the only tools they had were copper tools. On a Mohs scale, from 1 to 10, granite is 6. On the same scale, copper is number 3, much inferior. You cannot shape superior materials with the inferior tools. Some of the blocks had a laser straight surface, which today we can use as the instruments. And some of them obviously had machine parts. The German Bolivian mathematician and archaeologist Poznansky spent 50 years of his life investigating those pyramids, and he concluded that their age is 17,000 years. Who had diamond tools, lasers, and machines 17,000 years ago? This is the look of the most known and most magnificent pyramids on Mexican soil, the Pyramid of the Sun, 150 years ago. Looks like hundreds of hills everywhere in the world. It took 3 archaeological campaigns for the American and Mexican archaeologists to completely clean and reconstruct it. This is how it looks like today. One of the most beautiful examples of the pyramid architecture on the planet. When you look from the bottom of the pyramid, the tourists who are climbing the top, they are becoming so tiny. Looks like the builders wanted to reach the sky with this structure. And sure enough, its height 74 meters, 225 feet. Interesting thing is that the Great Pyramid of Egypt is exactly 2 times higher. The base of this pyramid in Mexico is square. The base of Great Pyramid of Egypt is square. The length, as we heard, of the Egyptian pyramids, 232 meters. The length of the sides here, 232 meters. The Egyptian one has the number pi, this one has the root of number pi. There are 3 pyramids in Giza Plateau, Cheops, Khafre, Myceren, 3 pyramids here in the plateau of Teotihuacan, Sun, Moon, Quetzalcoatl. And their layout is exactly the same. They are telling us there was no communication 4,600 years ago between Africa and Mesoamerica. And here we can see the signature of the same architect. Again, in my books 10-15 years ago, I was writing about the tunnels under the pyramids in Teotihuacan. Finally, 2 years ago, as a world sensation, was the news that the tunnels were discovered under the 3rd smaller pyramid in Teotihuacan, Quetzalcoatl. They discovered about 14 meters, 50 feet of the tunnels. It's the work in progress. For the longest time, Egyptian pharaoh Dr. Zahi Hawass claimed that there were no tunnels under the Giza pyramids. So thanks to the independent explorer like Andrew Collins from UK and some others, now we know that there are tunnels under the Egyptian pyramids. Of course, we can see that the Egyptian scientists are digging under the Sphinx in front of the pond and in the back. But they don't release those information. A huge network under the Giza pyramids that connects all the pyramids with the Sphinx and the River Nile. And the Chinese pyramids, all of them have those underground tunnels that lead to the chambers. So this is a common thing for the original and the oldest pyramids in the world. Underground network of tunnels and chambers. The pyramids in Mongolia, close to the border with China, similar to those like in Saqqara. Pyramids on US soil, well, nobody mentioned them in our history books. We have not one, but over 200 pyramids close to here, in the state of Illinois, on the southwestern side, Cahokia State Park. The biggest one, which they call the Monk's Mound, has a surface which is 12% larger than of the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Our scientists call them mounds. Mounds is basically when you use dirt to make something. However, here we have 4 different construction materials: sandstone blocks, pebbles, rocks, sand, and when they would finish the structure, they would cut the grass and the soil in squares, turn them upside down, and cover the pyramids in order to build this structure. Equivalent of 226,000 trucks of construction material was needed. 226,000 20-ton trucks. Millions of tons of material. How many tens of millions of tons of material to build the whole complex with 200 pyramids? A magnificent one. Instead of proudly presenting to our kids in schools, we hide them. Everything they tell us about this complex is wrong. They call it the Sun City. We don't know its real name. They're talking about the Cahokia State Park. Cahokia was the minor Indian tribe that came in the 17th century in this area and had nothing to do with the pyramids. They're saying the complex was built by the Mississippians, Indian tribes. Never in history, Indian tribe by that name existed. Now, does the tribe have the social organization to build a complex which required tens of millions of tons of materials? Of course not. It's a feature of very advanced civilization. All the pyramids have 4 sides, and those sides are oriented to the cardinal points, east, west, north, south. Now, north is very important. We are talking about the cosmic north, the true north, the location of the northern star. The builders who know the orientation at the true north are not tribes. They are advanced culture. All the pyramids but one, the biggest one, that one had an orientation towards the magnetic north. There is a difference between magnetic and cosmic north. Magnetic, as we know, moves every year between Canada and Siberia and back. Last year, for example, it moved for about 26 miles. The builders who know the difference between magnetic and the cosmic north are not tribes. They are very advanced civilization. On Italian soil, much, much before the ancient Rome, 5 pyramid complexes. The biggest one is Monte Vecchio, 3 major pyramids, 1, 2, and 3. Still, as we can see, covered by soil and vegetation. However, the layout of the pyramids in Monte Vecchio, 1, 2, 3, exactly the same like the Giza pyramids, 1, 2, 3, or pyramids in Teotihuacan, 1, 2, and 3. The look of the Pyramid of the Moon in Teotihuacan, 150 years ago, and today. Every day, 20 to 50,000 people come to what Aztec called the Avenue of Death, the main street in this beautiful city. Every year they leave $5 billion to Mexican economy. Every year 8.5 million people come to Egypt to visit their pyramids, and they leave $15.5 billion to Egyptian economy. Archaeological tourism has become the engine for the economies.